I didn't lie.
That is a lie. You just told us you're 27, but you're actually 30 by the date of birth you gave us, right? So we can continue to play this game, but I'm not gonna. Right?
I'm not. I swear, I would never lie to you.
So what's your birthday?
My birthday is 3/8/1994.
And you're still 27. Right now, we're going to be taking you into custody for criminal trespass. I got it.
Trespass?
On December 24th, 2024, authorities arrested a 30-year-old woman after she allegedly slipped past the TSA document screening area and boarded a Delta flight bound for Honolulu without holding a valid boarding pass. Investigators say she had remained inside the airport for more than 15 hours before being taken into custody on trespassing-related allegations.
I am. I'm not in any trouble, am I?
No, we're just trying to figure out something that's going on. So
I know. Okay, so basically, I came here to visit my boyfriend, and he basically said that he ordered me a ticket or whatever. So he walked me to the booth, and he said that he scanned the ticket, and that was the one that I was supposed to get on. I didn't know like exactly what he had booked, and so they were like, "Well, this is not your name. This is not the right name that was on the ticket." And so he was like, "Well, I'm going to the car." So I was trying to like walk out and find him before he went to the car, and so I just had to go to the bathroom. So I just went to the bathroom real quick. But I'm not sure like exactly what ticket he booked or how it happened, but I didn't do anything wrong. So
okay, yeah, that's what we're here to try to figure out.
Yeah.
Is this your stuff? Yeah. Do you have ID on you?
I don't have my ID. Like I was just visiting here. I had lost my ID, went on my way here, and so they actually let me come out here with like a paper ID, and so it just basically ended up getting lost. And so he basically, I asked him to book me a ticket online. He said that he booked it. He walked me to the gate. He said that that was the ticket for me to get on. And so they said that wasn't the right name. I was like, well, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to the car. I'll be back.
Do you have like the paper ID that they gave you?
I don't have any ID. So I'm trying to call him. I have no idea what's going on. And so they were just mad. They're like, well, this isn't the right name. They're like, well, you're in seat 29. Well, actually, maybe you're not in seat 29. We have no idea. I'm here.
Were you so you had to go flight from San Francisco to Seattle?
Well, I actually got on the Amtrak here. And so I was like trying to figure out a way to get back. I was like, well, I wanted to go like maybe on a little vacation. He was like, I'll just book you a ticket wherever you want to go. So he walked me here. I've never been here in my life. This is my first time in Washington. So I'm just like, lost.
Does your boyfriend live here?
Yeah, he lives in Seattle. So I have no idea like what's going on.
How'd you get past his security?
He walked me in. He walked me in with my ticket and everything, and he said that it was fine. They checked.
Does your boyfriend work here?
I don't think so.
And where is your boyfriend right now?
He said that he was going to the car, so I thought that he was outside. So I went to walk outside. I just had to go to the bathroom real quick. So I just basically came back in, and so I'm just kind of like lost. So I'm like trying to see where he is, to see where the documentation is. I told him I would come right back with the stuff that he basically scanned. So I'm like, I have no idea. So
but how'd you get through security? Because
he walked me through. He walked me through with everything.
So he had a ticket and you had a ticket?
Yeah, he walked me because I'm not from Seattle. I mean, this is my first time here. I've never been here. I have no idea where I'm at right now. My name is Maria. So he was supposed to be helping me, and so I was just like lost. And so I thought that he was supposed to be helping me out. And so he said that he was out here in the parking lot, so I was walking out to see where he was. So I just walked in here to go to the bathroom real quick, but I don't know if he's still there or where he's at, but I'm trying to call him and see.
What's his name?
His name is Dion.
What's his phone number?
It was 510.
Okay. Do you have your phone where you can confirm?
I don't have my phone, so I was like, I've been trying to.
I am just trying to make sure I understand you, sure, because we work here every day. So my understanding is, okay, if he had a ticket and you had a ticket, right? Because that's the only way you can really get through security.
Yeah.
How come he was leaving?
Well, because he's staying here, he lives here, but I'm just visiting here. So he was like, I'll just book you a ticket for a little while.
But security doesn't let people through TSA unless they have a ticket.
Yeah, so he showed the ticket and he showed everything and he walked me through. He walked me all the way to the gate.
But TSA doesn't let that happen.
Well, they let him walk through. He walked me to the gate, and so he said, "This is where you're supposed to be." Because I have no idea, because I've never been here before. I'm very young, I'm only in my 30s, so I have no idea.
Because we're trying to figure out, like, can you, like, for us, like, my biggest concern is one, are you in any trouble?
I'm not in any trouble. I don't have nothing, no criminal record, anything.
But like, do you? Not like that. But like, are you in trouble where you need help or assistance, like from us? Like, are you? I mean, you're not in any way like Dion willingly. You're here by choice.
Yes.
Okay. And Dion was gonna go ahead. How long have you been dating Dion?
I mean, we've been dating for a couple of years. So
long distance relationship.
Yeah, and so I thought that everything was legit. So I have no idea what's going on. His mom probably knows more what's going on. I know how to get there, like, from the buses and stuff. So
Where does Dion live?
He lives, like, out in, like, the SeaTac area. I'm not
so
sure.
close by.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to get to the airport from here?
Well, he drove me here. It was probably only maybe, like, 10 minutes. But,
Okay.
so, I mean, I can kind of, like, figure out where they live. I wouldn't mind getting back to you guys and showing you the documentation and stuff that he showed at the scanning booth.
That would be helpful for us, right?
Yeah.
I have your side of the story. I wish I could...
After closely examining the woman's account, officers found that several important details could not be verified. Conflicting information about her identity, along with the absence of evidence supporting her claims, raised serious concerns. Based on those inconsistencies, investigators decided to proceed with her detention. But once she began speaking in custody, the case took a surprising and unexpected turn.
So I called the number.
I said don't quote me.
Yeah,
I think it's 3085, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the last 4 digits. It might be 3085. But
so
who was that on the phone?
when I said I'm here with Maria Smith, he said, "Oh, okay." Then I said, "Is this Dion?" He said, "Nope, not Dion." And I said, "Do you know Maria Smith?" And he said, "Nope, don't know her."
Yeah.
That is very weird.
He might have said. I don't know for sure if that's the number. It might be 8. It might be 3082. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure of that.
So to my partner's point, right? It's not normal for someone not to have their own boarding pass because to get on the plane, you have to scan at the gate, which you know, right?
Yeah.
So if you never scanned in at the gate, it doesn't make sense to us that your boyfriend would scan you in at the gate and say, "See ya," and
Wearing today.
He was wearing probably like a gray sweatshirt.
Okay.
And probably like just maybe some dark jeans and probably like some Air Force shoes.
Okay. We have cameras, so I'm going to go look back through to make sure. I want to verify your story, right?
Yeah.
Because to me, we do this every day. It sounds weird that I like
Yeah,
Noah, but I would never,
I'm really shocked.
I would never go ahead and buy him a ticket.
I'm scared. I've never like been encountered by like any police or any security or anything, so I'm like more scared. So I'm like his mom would know more, so I'm like trying to get in contact with her. I know there's like a couple buses. Well, I know that there's like a 594 or 584 that goes like right kind of like in front of their house. I was just gonna.
So you're gonna take a bus and take.
And I'll come back. I can show you like all the documentation and stuff like that.
That would be good.
I had no idea. I have no idea. I was supposed to be leaving today. I've been planning on staying out because
I'm gonna be completely honest. Like I appreciate you being frank and whether this is the true story or not, right? Like I'm gonna go look and try to verify as much as I can based off the cameras from checkpoints all the way through to where you're gonna be boarding. Because then the other thing for me, right, is like you're saying you had a ticket, but if he didn't have a ticket,
he wasn't going with me. He lives here.
He literally, TSA will not let other people through unless you're accompanying a minor. He won't let people just through if you don't have a ticket.
Yeah, they didn't say anything. They didn't say anything to him. I don't know if maybe they didn't know. They kind of just checked the ID and then like you guys are together and he said yeah.
Okay, so we either have a really big issue on security's aspect, right?
Yeah.
They let you guys through without a ticket, or the other thing is you're not telling me the truth.
No, I am telling you the truth. But I asked her, she said, "What's your last name?" I said Smith. She said, "You're in row 29." It was somebody sitting there, and she was like, "Oh, maybe you're not in row 29."
But he didn't show you your ticket at all?
He just said, "Talk to the corridor." Or I don't know if that's like the captain, or he said, "Just talk to the person that's in front." I went and talked to them, and then they said they were calling the security and all that, and so I had no idea what was going on. So I was like,
"You don't have a phone with you." Because the hard part is like your story.
Yeah, and so I just came to go to the bathroom. I don't know if he's like in the parking lot or what. But I just had to run to the bathroom really quick. But I'm like trying to find him and make sure.
And this is your phone number.
Yes, I know that you guys have a part like in the.
Where is your phone? If you.
I don't have my phone with me. My phone is actually back home, but I know that you guys have like a part in the airport.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind coming and bringing the documentations and stuff like that. I'm not.
Okay.
And so I can bring it back.
If you come back with that document, that would help clear out a lot of things. If you don't come back, I have this story with holes that this report and everything's audio video recorded. This report will end up being filed and it will go to FBI. And if we have nothing to fill those gaps, I'm positive they're going to try to contact you and try to fill this hole of what's going on. But is that alcohol?
That's just like a little bit of wine, but yeah.
And have you been drinking today?
No,
drinking's not a problem.
No, I didn't drink.
We're gonna go this route now. So I spoke with a detective of ours, right?
Did you call the number? Did he answer?
I called the number. No one, male answered, but he said it wasn't him, right? So I want to just run this by you, right? So right now you don't have a ticket. You don't have any proof that you. Hold on. Let me finish, right?
Yeah.
Right now you have no proof stating that you were able to get onto the secure side, able to fly on a plane, right? I want to believe your story, but right now, face value, we have no proof of you actually being able to be here, which is a criminal trespass.
No.
So hold on. Let me finish so I can explain all of this to you.
No, I promise I'm like
I know, but let me explain this to you so that way you understand where we're at, right? So right now you are detained while we are investigating a criminal trespass. Number two, hold on. Number two is if your name has no record or doesn't come back to anything, then we're gonna have to keep questioning you or ID you using fingerprints. So I'd rather you be transparent because you did misspell your last name twice. And also, how old are you right now?
I'm 27.
27 years old. So that's wrong, right? If you're born in 1994, you're not 27. So there's my point, right? So a lot of things aren't adding up.
But I really didn't do nothing wrong. I'm not from Seattle. I'm actually from.
That doesn't matter. That does not matter. That does not
Do you see
matter.
the holes in the story?
I do.
So
That does not matter.
why would you lie about your age?
I didn't lie.
That is a lie. You just told us you're 27, but you're actually 30 by the date of birth you gave us, right? So we can continue to play this game, but I'm not gonna. Right?
I'm not. I swear, I would never lie to you.
So what's your birthday?
My birthday is 3/8/1994.
And you're still 27. Right now, we're going to be taking you into custody for criminal trespass. I got it.
Trespass in California.
After carefully reviewing the woman's explanations, officers determined that key parts of her story could not be confirmed. The inconsistencies surrounding her identity and personal information, combined with the lack of evidence supporting her account, left investigators with little choice but to move forward with her detention. And what she revealed in custody dramatically changed the direction of the case.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take you up because remember I told you there's a lot of people involved in this, and since you aren't able to show a valid ticket, we need to investigate this further.
I know. Well,
So we're going to put you in handcuffs now.
But I don't have a criminal record.
That's fine.
That's
That's
okay.
fine. I appreciate you working on us, but for right now, you're going to be placed in handcuffs, okay?
We're gonna. Remember I told you though, it becomes a big safety issue. The holes in your story are becoming a bigger and bigger problem.
Give me a hand. Thank you.
Okay. Alright. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in the court of law. Do you understand each of these rights I've explained to you? Okay.
Is this all your belongings?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it in your bag for you, okay? Here, put your slippers on.
Well, can you leave those? Can I actually leave those?
No, you can put
it was
them on.
like
That's
it was like
yours.
something like a chemical that was on them. I don't know.
So you're gonna walk barefoot.
Yeah.
It's on, so you don't have this ready. So what's going to happen is we're going to put you in a holding cell for now. Hold on. You're under arrest for criminal trespass, right? And hold on. Let me just explain something to you. I'm not asking you to talk to me. I'm explaining something, right? So right now we're going to put you in a holding cell, and then we're going to end up fingerprinting you to discover your identity. I'm not asking you to respond. I'm just telling you, okay?
Well, I'm really not doing anything wrong.
So we're going to go put her in a cell for now, and we're going to talk to you guys.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yep.
You're not detained.
You're
You're under arrest. You are no longer free to leave.
I'm detained with no criminal record.
That's not. You're under arrest for criminal trespass.
How did I trespass and not a ticket?
Because you don't have a valid ticket.
Number for going by is 95899.
Just 2 pairs of pants. So make sure there's nothing back in here. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and get you in the cell.
Okay, go ahead, turn around. Face that way.
Face the cell.
How long am I in there for?
Till we kind of figure out what we need to do, okay?
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
I don't have no criminal record. I've
It
never
does
been
not matter. You're
Doesn't
under arrest
matter.
for
You weren't
criminal
able to prove why you were here at the airport, how you were able to be.
on the secure side.
You don't-
Impede anything, okay? So we're just gonna stop talking now about the situation, and we understand you're a good person and you don't have a criminal record, but that's the end of this, okay? Until we can determine what else may have occurred, we need to figure all that stuff out. We need to validate the story that you fed to us. You remember you told us you were 27, but you're actually 30 based on the age you gave, the date of birth you gave us. I don't think you're grasping what I'm saying right now. So that's fine.
We're
We'll
just gonna go
close the
ahead.
door.
Okay.
We'll check on you in a little bit, okay?
Hold on a second. Hi, I'm Sergeant Merritt. Work for the Port Seattle PD. Can you tell me what's going on? Trespassing on an aircraft is a pretty big deal.
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know if you were or not. I'm just going to explain something to you. All I know is very limited information about why you're here. Okay? Sure. Yeah.
Hi, I'm sorry. How are you doing? I'm actually a very nice girl.
So the first thing we need to do is figure out who you are. Okay, that's the very first thing. and then we can verify a lot of this information that you're telling us. I'm willing to work with you, but not if you're gonna lie to me.
I'm not lying.
You just lied about your social.
Okay, what's the last part? I'm like extremely tired. I've been like driving around all day. They said I had a flight today, so I've been like just really tired.
Listen, your name and date of birth.
Actually, like I'm a rapper from
If we can't figure out who you are, you're gonna have to go to jail.
I know. But I don't really believe me. How are you gonna
That's not because you're lying.
But I'm not lying. Somebody is harassing me. I met somebody.
We're not harassing you. We're trying to figure out what's going on here. TSA called us and said that there's somebody on the plane that doesn't have a ticket.
They called you?
Yes. So there's an FBI agent that's on his way out here to interview you.
That's fine.
If they're not able to identify you, then it's probably not going to go very well for you. And I don't want that for you. I would like for you to be able to walk out of here later. Okay?
Yes, sir.
As officers continued investigating the woman's account, they explained that the incident could have consequences extending far beyond the local case. At that point, the focus shifted away from the suspect. Instead, investigators began interviewing airport employees, believing their statements could reveal how the security breach happened in the first place.
Okay, I just want to let you know my speaker's going. Will you send me a photo, like a photo of your badge?
Yes.
Just so I have it.
Right now?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And then the next thing I have is, what's your title?
I'm a customer service agent.
What airlines did she hop onto?
She hopped on Delta Airlines.
And then how were you guys made aware of the situation, if you just don't mind starting from the beginning?
So we boarded all passengers. We closed the aircraft door. That's when we got a radio call saying we got too many people on board. We opened the aircraft door, asked the passenger what her last name is. She just said Smith. I asked for her ID. She said she doesn't have it. So that's when we went to the manifest to see, and we didn't have last name Smith. So that's when I told her to come with me. How did you get on? And that's when she was just trying to avoid my questions.
Did you guys see her with anybody else?
No.
Okay.
Coming from my colleagues, so they looked at the cameras. She said she walked behind somebody. So that's how she got through.
Walked behind somebody. Could you provide a description of who she walked behind?
Told me it was a guy wearing a black shirt, but she walked on the side of him, so like you wouldn't be able to see.
Did that passenger stay on the flight?
That passenger scanned, and then supposedly she just kept walking. That's what I was told.
Okay. Can you paint the scene for me? So when you guys reopened the aircraft, was everyone seated but her?
No, everybody was seated except for the person that was supposed to have a seat. And then that's when we found out, so were you seated? And then that's when we couldn't get her ID or anything, and that's how we figured it out.
The lady who left the plane,
sat in an open seat, yeah.
And that passenger was like, she was the one that was standing, like.
Right.
Okay. And then she didn't give you guys a first name, she just yelled out the name Smith?
Correct.
And then there was no Smith on the manifest?
Correct.
No Smith, okay. These are just questions that I can put in my report. And then you guys followed her out from, which gate again it was? It was B?
Bravo 1. She said she was looking for her boyfriend. We're like, all right, well, security's coming. We're going to follow you. No. Then she's like, no, I'll come back to the gate. We're like, no. And then that's when I called you guys.
Okay.
And then since she left the secured area, that's when they said I didn't have to follow.
All right, I appreciate you working with me, Jordan.
After speaking with airport employees, investigators determined that the evidence did not match the woman's version of events. Her claims about being at the airport and the story involving her alleged boyfriend fell apart as the investigation progressed. Even so, her true identity remained unknown. To resolve that mystery, officers moved forward with fingerprinting, a step that would soon reveal the answers they had been looking for.
Fingerprints, okay? I just need you to come with us here. And it's just right over the room here, so it makes it easy so we can identify you, and it's the faster you get out of here, okay? So can you come with us? Fingerprinting is easy nowadays. It's not like the old ink ones where you had to get all dirty. I'm gonna let you do it. I'll show you exactly how to do it. So we're gonna go. So basically the instructions are up here, and I'm gonna go through it with you too. But you do here is, and then when you put this down on there, you're gonna see your fingerprints come up on the thing, and then you try to get it to match into that spot. So I'll let you try it first and just see how it goes here. So your 4 fingers there, so you can see you're a little high. So pull them back a little bit. Get that, and we'll go with that. So you doing okay? We are halfway through on that, okay? Wait, what was I hurting you, or was that just uncomfortable? Okay. Just yeah.
Did you give all correct information to him?
Yeah.
Real name, date of birth?
You said you had been arrested as a juvenile, or?
Probably I was arrested maybe like a couple of years ago, but.
And you said in California?
In San Francisco.
San Francisco.
But I probably went to jail for just like maybe one day. It wasn't like anything serious.
We'll go back in there. Do you need use the bathroom or anything? Or yeah. All right. So let's go back in here. Someone will be back in a little bit. Okay. Hey, thanks for your help on that too.
Fingerprint analysis finally confirmed the woman's true identity as Shimaya Patrice. Investigators also concluded that her story about having a boyfriend at the airport could not be verified, and determined that she had gained access by closely following another passenger through the security checkpoint. With the investigation complete and the key facts established, officers prepared to transport her to jail.
Are you getting out of here, Shania? All right. There, man. Don't stand on up. Just face the wall here for me. Get you out of here, all right? What's that? Yep. I'm gonna lock these so I don't get any tighter on you, okay? I'm gonna step out this way. You want some shoes? Your shoes that were in your bag?
No.
You wanna walk barefoot to the airport?
Yeah.
Okay. This bag of stuff is gonna be going with you to jail, all right?
Why are you taking me to jail?
I think you know the answer to that.
I know, but it's not. I don't have like any criminal record.
That doesn't matter. This California might be a little different.
The other stuff you'll have to pick up. We're gonna book it in the safety thing. Hang on.
This way. Is there anything on you? In your pockets or anything? Or anything that got missed? No, nothing at all? Okay. Let's go and face the back quarter panel of that car there.
What are we gonna?
Your quick passage.
Anything I missed? Because if there anything there is, the jail will add an extra charge. Okay.
Alright, go and have a seat right there and watch your head.
As the woman was taken to jail, officers had every reason to believe the case had come to an end. But only 3 days later, she returned to the same airport once again. This time, the encounter would lead to an unexpected turn that no one saw coming.
Do you have a ticket? Are you employed here at the airport?
No, I'm waiting for my sister. She said she just came in from Alaska, and when I talked to my lawyer, he said that I could come here, but I just can't. I'm not allowed to. That all you have to say is if I'm trespassing, you can tell me to leave, but I am allowed at the airport. That's what they just told me yesterday. They said I am allowed to come to the airport.
Who told you that?
That's what my lawyer told me when I was.
Your lawyer doesn't dictate that.
No, I was in court and.
You can call your lawyer if you don't have any.
No, because I was arrested. I was arrested, and they just told me, they said you can come to the airport anytime. All you guys can do is tell me to leave if I'm trespassed. They said
there's signs that are posted. You're already trespassing from our airport coming in. You don't have any airport business.
No, but he said I could come to the airport, and all you can do is tell me to leave. But he said,
huh?
No, my sister is here. I know. I'm not doing anything wrong. I really am a good girl. I didn't do anything wrong. I apologize.
Officers also noticed that her explanation had changed. During the first encounter, she repeatedly claimed she was waiting for her boyfriend. This time, she told officers she was simply waiting for her sister, adding another inconsistency for investigators to consider.
Well, I'm waiting for my sister.
I'll read it.
Huh? I'm supposed to be picking her up. She was supposed to be coming in from Alaska. No, I don't have a car here. I'm not from Washington.
Okay.
It sounds like you're not picking up that was wrong.
Well, but I'm on my trespassing, and they told me that I could come to the airport.
Okay, let's listen to this, okay? All right. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can't be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand each of these rights I explained to you?
I done.
What flight your sister coming on?
She was supposed to be coming in on Alaska Delta, and I
Alaska
also came
Delta flight?
Delta? No,
Yeah.
they're two different airlines.
or it might be United. And then I
really?
came to see
okay.
how much the tickets were here too. So I came.
They
to
don't
see
sell
how-
tickets yet.
No, they sell tickets at the Southwest
So your
booth.
sister is coming in on Alaska Delta United?
Yeah,
Is that like one airline?
it is.
Okay, so I don't know if you recognize me. We talked to you on Christmas Eve when you were over at the South Satellite
Yeah.
facility.
I'm really not doing it.
The S-Gates?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've watched you on video where you went down and slipped under stanchions to get by security.
When?
We have cameras everywhere watching you do that. Of you slipping under the stanchions. earlier this week.
No, they said that that was the day that I was already arrested. So that has nothing to do with what's going on today.
Oh, okay. So why are you back at the airport today?
Because my sister is supposed to be coming into town. I'm trying to get back to California. And so I came to see how much the tickets were. They said that I could come to the booth and see how much they were.
I'm just confirming, we're still talking about the same incident, right? Where you went under the same.
Yeah, that's the same day I was arrested for that.
You were already arrested for
trespassing.
So I'm not really doing anything wrong. Like,
have you been issued a criminal trespass admonishment?
no.
Perfect. I will be making sure to do that as well. But you are going to be placed under arrest for trespass today.
You're not going to take me to jail, are you?
You are going to go to jail today, yes.
Well, I already went to. I just went to get back to California, and you actually took me to jail. I'm a single mom, and I really have 2 kids. I went to jail on the night before Christmas, and I'm really I'm not doing.
What's your actual date of birth?
My actual date of birth is 2/9/91. I'm really not doing nothing wrong. I'm actually a good girl.
You said your sister's flying in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we already get her phone number?
Absolutely.
You said we already did get her phone number to talk to her?
Yes.
I didn't get it. Can I get her phone number?
Her phone number is 415.
And what's her name?
Her name is Michelle.
By this stage, investigators had identified yet another contradiction. The woman provided a different date of birth, adding to the growing number of inconsistencies in her statements. She also told officers she was the mother of 2 children, but her explanation for being at the airport kept changing. During the first encounter, she claimed she was waiting for her boyfriend. Later, she said she had been there to meet her sister. Those conflicting accounts prompted officers to question her further, leading to another important exchange in the investigation.
Can you please just write me a citation so I don't go to jail? Because my kids are they were really worried because I didn't come home on Christmas and stuff. And so
where are your kids at?
My kids aren't in California, but I'm supposed to be getting back to my kids. I was supposed to be going.
Oh, is that where you were trying to go? Was to California?
Mm-hmm.
Then why were you on a Honolulu flight?
On that day?
Yeah.
Well, because I was saying my boyfriend had brought me here and I asked him to buy me a ticket because I was telling you that I contacted some rappers that were in the industry because I'm also a rapper. And so I think that I contacted some pedophiles and that they were following me around. And that I was just extremely scared because they put cameras in my bathroom, and I think they have these little microscopic cameras that they're putting in the toilet to see my private parts. Mm-hmm. And so I've just been really worried, and so my aunt told me to move here from California, so I've been here out of state because I was scared. And so for some reason I think that they got to the airport and that they were been following me around. So I'm so scared and I was just trying to leave. I didn't know how to get away from them.
So if you were scared, why didn't you contact us?
I did. I have several police reports from in California.
Oh, but you said
when my partner and I talked to you on the 23rd, when you were over on the S Gate South Satellite facility, we came in and we talked to you. You were in the restroom. Yeah. You didn't mention any of this to us at that time.
Well, I told him that he was upstairs. I told him when I was upstairs.
You didn't tell me that. No, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah. I know. So this is right now, and I won't come back ever again.
Let's go.
Oh,
come on.
All right, stand right here. I got to do a search on you, okay? I'm just going to check your pockets and stuff. Go ahead and have a seat right in there.
The suspect was ultimately taken into custody and faced multiple charges, including 2 counts of first-degree criminal trespass and making a false statement to a public official. Let me know your thoughts on this case in the comments. And if you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to subscribe for more real-world legal analysis.